Right, you're live.
Morning. Hello there, David. How are you?
Good morning, Mr. Whale. Busy week for you.
It is a busy week. It is. I'm very much looking forward to this week, although it's a bit... well, first of all, I'm in the third stage of grief from yesterday's football, so I'm in firm denial over that. And then secondly, although I should not ordinarily be looking forwards to EA Masters or Sunday Times as it was before, of course, it's all bittersweet because... I'm not going to be able to do there and do my thing.
but however, anybody that has got a delegate ticket will be seeing a lot of kerfuffle this week, aren't? I mean, you are pivotal to this whole exhibition, aren't you?
Are you gonna stake the success or failure on this on my head? Are you then? Is that what's happening?
Well, if we were going to put it on your hair, I think it's a disaster already. What's going on there?
It's just totally adaptable. I've lost control now. It's just doing what it wants to do. But never mind that. I mean, I don't know if you've seen much of his stuff. Genuinely, to be on the same speakers list as Mr. Seth Godin is, if you are into self-improvement, wanky phrase though it is, marketing of any form, Seth Godin is just a legend. So
I just need to talk whilst we're on the subject of lists.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this podcast anymore. And the reason is that I used to do the podcast with who I thought was the most influential man in property, person in property.
Hello.
And now it turns out that you are, only number 3 on the list?
Well, yeah, but as you pointed out, there's a train of thought that says because the Bruce brothers were 2, they are 2 and 3. Of course, I'm just going for the very legal definition that is actually breaking the rules, and therefore I'm promoted.
Well, can I just applaud the Bruce brothers on their rehabilitation? It's been amazing. I cannot believe that. Honestly, if you would have asked anybody in 2017, 2018, whether or not the Bruce brothers would feature at number 2 on most influential property people.
Who'd have guessed all you had to do was put yourself up against Right Move?
Well, you know what? You've got yourself on a list that, I mean, the list is very eclectic. Let's call Mr. Simon Bradbury out here. It reads like, well, I think I've been through his Twitter followers. It's mostly everybody that follows him on Twitter. But I mean, you've got Robert May, who really made his more recently his name as a zealot, sort of calling out purple bricks. Yeah, and it's got PB also featured in there as well. And then you wait later, number 2, you've got the two boys that instigated the whole thing. Allegedly. I can't say this because they've got really great lawyers, but allegedly, possibly one of the biggest attempts to game the industry ever. Yeah. So it really is an impressive feat.
But he's just done what he said he was going to do all along, and that's why I absolutely love lists like this, and they are so predictable in the outrage that it causes. What do you mean? PB's at number 7. The industry hasn't said that PB's at number 7. No one said that. This is Simon Bradbury's. It is. He's just popped up Mr. Bradbury's personal list, and you know it's absolutely spectacular, and it's caused more arguments and discourse on Property Industry Eye than pretty much anything else I've seen.
I love how every entry was caveated by a lot of people will disagree with me. However, Adolf Hitler does deserve number 1 on this list because he's influential.
I like the way everybody else was teed up with something, really professional, what they'd done, and I get in straight in terms of he's buffoon of the year. It's like, I've got the family round. Listen to this. Oh, don't.
I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me when I say he's the biggest buffoon we've ever seen.
And he also drinks a lot. And I'm going, George, cover your ears, George. Don't listen to the nasty man. Where have you gone? Oh my God, that's not a good place to pause. Look at you. Yeah, that was strange. Don't do that again.
Yeah, no. Anyway, it was a very interesting list, though, actually, and I think it got everybody on the edge of their seat every day as we built up that all important. I think you know what. Even if you had to take the third spot or fourth spot, whatever it is, after the Bruce Brothers, I'd take that.
Yeah. Oh no. I genuinely, because after you and Mr. Watkins kept saying, "Oh, you're going to be vying 90 for," I was like, "There's a very good chance I'm not going to be on that list at all," and then that's going to get incredibly embarrassing. But anyway,
no, you made it up there, and I'm proud of you. I feel like you finally arrived.
I know, I did, and it only took me getting Simon Bradbury to edit the list post production to get myself in there.
I wonder how much that cost you.
It's enough. Another. Where have you gone? Stop. Honestly, I work with amateurs here. Absolute amateurs. Anyway, what I thought was brilliant. You're around actually there. Thanks for not leaving me, Mr. Bradbury. What I did like was the grief that you kept getting, which was people talking about. Why is there no one from the commercial sector? Why are there no northern agents in it? Oh, hello, Mr. Mintz, you're back again. I was just talking to the audience, aka Mr. Bradbury, and just saying they were criticising him for things like why aren't there any commercial people in here? Why aren't there northern agents? Because Simon's not a northern agent. He's a resi agent. Why do they think he's got to sort of give an overview of the entire property industry?
Where was Christian Byfield on that list?
No, I don't think
he wasn't. So I think
there's loads in there. Look, if you go at it, how can you leave out people like if you want to go for the misogyny 35, how could you miss out Heather, Joe Swash, obviously.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Mavs for Macaboo. There's a whole host of obviously ones that you could easily pick out. But I know what it's like. When you're asked to put together who do you respect in this industry, and or footballers, whatever else it is there, your mind does tend to go blank, and you can't get everyone in.
But Peter Knight, I think, is on everybody's list.
Yeah, you'd be mad to. I'll tell you what I did think was really curmudgeonly was a load of the people that were in there. These people have never done a day's agency in their life. They haven't affected it. But, Steve Jobs has affected this industry in more ways than, most people out there certainly haven't done it.
Talking from someone who's done more than a few days of agency, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be, guys, It's not the be-all and end-all.
Hang on.
This industry is very much more than just the agents. It is, of course, all about Property Mark. Can we talk about them?
We can talk about them, but thank you for mentioning that Japanese knotweed like me can survive by feeding off the industry. So that is...
Do you know what? I think in the rich cornucopia of life... I think, honestly, when you look at this industry, it's made up of lots of different moving parts. And yes, I would argue the agents are the engine room with the bread and butter of the whole industry. We keep it going. But we need our suppliers.
Are you saying I'm a moving part? That's very
Your hair looks like a part. I don't know what, but it is.
Speaking about maybe a more stationary parts, you were just talking about Property Mark.
Yes, interesting segue there. Because in this morning's news, referral fees are once again headline news, and you've got two sort of conflicting opinions there in the pie, and I just love it how National Trading Standards basically have made some recommendations that. Those purchasing or selling property should be informed about third-party referral fees according to National Trading Standards, which is fantastic. They are now in turn making some recommendations to government, and the government are going to be considering those. And of course, incapable of writing a fresh press release for anything, the NAEA and Property Mark just dust off the old thing of saying, Mark Haywood, chief executive, commented, new legislation which will require agents to display referral fees is a step forward, providing clarity to agents that they mustn't fall foul of the law, but importantly, ensuring greater transparency for consumers to avoid any confusion about what agents are charging for. but he couldn't complete his statement without including, this is something we've been working closely with government and the National Trading Standards. Yeah. And it's every single time.
You have a real bee in your bonnet over this one, don't you? I know you are.
Well, I do, because let's face it, there is quite a good article actually in the Pie today, and its opinion, I believe it is by Adam Pigott, actually, from Open Bricks, and he basically
Tango Pig. He's the Tango Pig.
It's the Tango Pig. That's him. And he makes an argument against actually what they're trying to do, and because I think generally speaking, nobody gets hurt. So, are you going to strip this industry of all its goodness?
That's the perception, that no one gets hurt, and actually, referral fees done right, nobody does get hurt. As always, it's the ones who operate, the outliers, who take the piss, that affect it and bugger it up for everyone else, don't they?
That Andy Overman's on. Can you see him?
I can indeed. The new liberated, tag teamed up with Assad at location.
I think that is an absolutely stellar piece of news. It is outstanding. The guy has suffered through furlough and the uncertainty of his professional life and his personal life, the whole thing. And we've all been on this Andy Overman roller coaster. And he announces it like it was like, and in other news, the weather's going to be a little bit better this week. Did you watch the podcast they did on Sunday? I expected like some kind of pomp, some ceremony, Overman. Where's the showmanship gone?
If you want energy, you come to Mincy and Whaley. You don't go to, they're there for that Sunday audience. It's post Mar. You're just getting into maybe a third cup of hot chocolate. We're the rock and roll boys. Well, we used to be.
Well, listen, but going back to this referral fee thing, I think that done correctly, nobody needs to get hurt. The inference by trading standards picking up on this now is that somehow consumers are losing out on hundreds and hundreds of that. It's just not. What are you going to get from a solicitor for a referral fee at most? A couple of £100 if you're lucky.
Do you know what does my head in anyway? It's just absolutely insane. It seems so obvious that there should be some level of transparency, that obviously you should be able to find out quite quickly, even with just the standard, we may get a small referral fee off the back of that. But secondly, why are they always targeting a state agency? As I think it was Adam Pigott points out quite rightly, there are 1,000,001 other industries out there. It either needs to be a referral legislation or whatever else for every industry, or none of them. Isn't that
why aren't Property Mark saying we've been working closely with agents to consult with them and they disagree with this and we're going to be putting forward that proposal to government? But they're not. Instead, we're working closely with government on this, and it seems that they are kowtowing once again to it's a shakedown for cash. Have we not had enough cash shaken out of this industry already? What's going to be left at the end of it? It worries me the way that we just idly sit by and we have our biggest professional body is handing over the keys to the coffer.
It's bad, isn't it? Adam makes the point. I think I remember that article. He talks about when does the recommendation of £200 or whatever actually move towards being a legal cap? In terms of the top level of referral fee, and you could well imagine that sweeping legislation, can't you, happening as it comes in? Look, let's face it. I wouldn't be very optimistic if I was you lot, because they just seem to have such a woody for taking the piss out of estate agents and just continually.
I think we're an easy target at the moment as well.
An easy target, absolutely. Yeah.
The perception is that we've never had it so good.
Yeah,
and I'm not. Look, long may this continue. But if we're still talking like this in 6 months' time, I'd be very, very surprised. And if the estate agency sector was as hard hit as some of the other sectors at the moment, they wouldn't dare raise their head above that political parapet right now.
What just to give us that shot of good news? I've spoke to a few agents. They seem to just be quietening up a little. Not so much that you're panicking, but what's the market around you?
Woody before 8:30. We were going to call this show Morning Glory, weren't we?
Yeah, guaranteed way to distract David. Just talk about a Woody. There you go.
No market. Well, the market locally here, again, it just seems to be going from strength to strength.
Really?
So
okay.
There is a lot of optimism, particularly amongst younger people. Older people are still quite sort of hesitant about moving. They feel a little bit vulnerable, but they're still choosing to make the move now rather than wait until we hit another major lockdown, because this isn't a real lockdown, is it? What we're doing at the moment, all this nonsense.
It's kind
as long as they're sending kids to school and allowing people to go to the office, then life is open.
You just reminded me I do have to take George to school in a minute.
I'm going to let you go in a minute. Thanks for giving us all of 3 minutes of your time. You are the third most influential. Why should you be afraid of declaring fees? I don't think you need to be afraid, Simon, but the issue is that once that becomes the centerpiece of your proposal to a client, I think clients naturally think, well, if he's getting a referral fee, however reasonable that may be, I am ultimately footing the bill for that, and I am paying more for it. And I think, therefore, it's very difficult to actually get it.
You know where it's going to go anyway. It will be one of those horribly legalistic requirements to have it on the front page of whatever letter goes out, won't it? Saying in bold font, size 20, this estate agent will be receiving XYZ from the agent. So it's not even just about transparency. It's the way that they turn it into more than it almost is. That's what I can't stand about it.
I think every now and again they need headlines. They need something to get their teeth into, and particularly trading standards, who in any event are badly staffed, badly funded. They don't have the amount of people needed to police anything that they actually bring in properly, and this has always been the case. But they like headlines because they need to stay relevant, and if they don't stay relevant, they don't get funding. And I think that actually behind the scenes, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Also, the other thing is, if they do start hitting down on referral fees, Kerfuffle's business model is pretty much shot to shit. So, not that I'm saying I've got
as long as we've got a backup plan, that's all we care about, right?
Full of backup plans. You know me, attention to detail and everything else.
Charlie Perdios. Morning, gents. Simon, your hair today is about as good as your goalkeeper from last night. Before we get into the football, we must congratulate Charlie. They've teamed up, haven't they, with
one of the moment
location to create a land and new homes venture, which looks really impressive.
Assad is a nexus at the moment. He is a epicenter of all that is good. Actually, just talking about it, didn't he win? Just to show what a brilliant way of looping this back round was. Didn't Assad actually win at EA Masters last year?
He won at what was the one that I went to? He won one of the Negotiator Awards.
Okay.
Because I think he won the category I was up for. Which, obviously I'm not going to win against someone like Assad. I mean, look at him. He's cleaning up. But genuinely, I think actually that collaboration between two competing agents, if you like, but have a common interest over, they've leveraged their skills and their influence over a large portion of North London to create this new entity. I think it's awesome. And it's the way that a lot of agents should look. He won best overall office.
Yeah, do you know what's best about that? What you can't read in that is the font that Charlie put that in. It's called Pure Envy. he's trying to do everything he can do to find out where he comes again. But genuinely, there's a man. I mean, I love my awards. I know we've got Mr. Watkins up there who says no one's bothered by your baubles. But but me and Charlie Perdius are in a very different demographic where basically that defined our year. how we do these things. So I know he's going to be like a little kid at Christmas at this week.
Oh, I hope he's up for many, many awards.
And we got Mr. Watkins here. What's he said here? There isn't one property market in the UK. It's like a fly's eye. For example, some parts of London are in their arse and others are flying. Exactly right. Look at him with his. Look at that box. Look at that. Oh, of course, we haven't spoke about that. Shall we finish on that then?
Well, let's finish on that because it brings us back to what we were saying about the EA podcast. So, being a little bit more upbeat and having. Hello, Mr. Bradbury. I'm hanging on to the coattails of the number 3 in this industry, dragging myself up. No, but what is
my coattails?
What is superb about the mock fight that is going on between Chris Watkins and Jerry Lyons at the moment is, and we really appreciate this at Kerfuffle more than anybody, is the showmanship that's gone into it. The little videos they're producing and the content and the build-up. And I mean, they are managing to drag this out over 3 or 4 weeks, which is fantastic.
Spectacularly well. It's like when you see these genius marketeers again. See what I'm doing? Just tying it all the way back. Where these artists spend so long creating these GIFs or these video sequences, whilst probably ignoring 2 or 3 hours of work. To get it out. The British capability to distract itself and do some genuinely great shit for fun is
it's what this industry needs. It needs a little bit of light. It needs a little bit of mirth. It needs a little bit of humor. It takes itself slightly too seriously sometimes, and I think
Carl takes himself too seriously. What I like about this is Carl is not in the industry. He's watched half an hour of this just so that he can keep having a pop at Liverpool. That's an Evertonian for you, my friend. That bitterness cannot be. If it could be
bitter blues.
If it could be bottled, the Russians would be going for that rather than polonium.
Well, on that note, I think you've got to do your school run.
I have. I've got to put on some pants because otherwise I'll get banned again.
Oh, hang on. So I asked the question I was going to end on. EA Masters this Thursday. Are we going to be seeing a lot more of Mr. Whale? I
think they're coming up with the itinerary. People who've registered their tickets, and there are still tickets, genuinely, you need to get on board with this. It's so affordable this year. The speakers you've got are not myself. You can fast forward that bit. But the quality they've got there has never been better. And you can watch it. If you can't make it on the day, you can watch it for a week afterwards. And there's 4 separate channels, 40 different speakers there. And I think it's going to be exceptional. And if you can, I mean, genuinely, you know what it's like. If you can come out with just 1 or 2 ideas, that justifies that paltry pretty amount for the.
What I love about it this year is you don't need to actually be paying attention on the day to absorb it all. You can actually spread it over 7 days.
Right. Whaley's on toilet time.
Right.
The only thing you need to know is that at one glorious stage on Thursday, I'm going to be on 4 different channels simultaneously, delivering 4 different sets of content. Now, I mean, that's the dream, isn't it?
I almost thought you were going to say stating your demands. If I don't get X amount of awards right now, Mr. Knight gets it. We're very much looking forward to it.
David, when we forget the itinerary out, let's do a pre-show and we'll talk to people about what they should be looking at. Obviously, apart from me. So let's get the itinerary and we'll do a special pre-EA Masters for Mr. Bradbury. As obviously that might get me to number 1 next year.
It sounds awesome. All right, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week, everybody.
Have a great week, all. Bye, property people.